Hello, everybody. My name is BlokeAfterWar, but you can call me Bloke, and I am the creator of a totally real and legit movie called Me and My Waifu. So, for and to give everybody um, to um, to let everybody know what I'm doing, just, just a few weeks ago, Goop Videos made a commentary on his YouTube poops for Despicable Me 1 and 2. This was intended to celebrate um, the 10-year anniversary of the first Despicable Me and the 5-year anniversary of Despicable Me 1, a YouTube poop that I have fond memories of when I first saw this around 5 years ago. So I wanted to do a similar thing with my magnum opus here. So to give a background, excuse my mouth sounds. To give a background on how I came up with Me and My Waifu, I think it was around um, late August to early September of last year. I where I was obsessed with two things. First was Edgar Wright's movies. Like many other people, I got invested in his movies via the Every Frame of Painting video about his stuff. And I thought to myself, hey, this guy seems pretty cool. I should check out his movies. And so I saw Shaun of the Dead, I saw Hot Fuzz, I saw The World's End, and I loved all three movies, and I became a big fan of his work shortly afterwards. I even saw Baby Driver around the same month, but although I didn't actually see Scott Pilgrim until like earlier this quarantine. But mainly focusing on Edgar Wright stuff, I loved the Cornetto trilogy to the point where I was pretty much a fan. I loved Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and their chemistry and performances in those movies. And then, on the other hand, the second obsession I had around that time was Fire Emblem Three Houses. I was a major Bernadette guy um, back then. I think that was what drove me to buy the game. But more specifically, um, anime voice actors. I was following a couple of them on Twitter. I think it started with the English dub cast of Persona 5, and then eventually it grew to Three Houses, and maybe a couple other animes that they starred in, and I didn't actually watch, whatever. But yeah, but basically, I was also big into Fire Emblem Three Houses at the same time. So, um, there around 2011, there was this movie that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost made without Edgar Wright that was called Paul. It was basically like a. It's how do I put it this way? It's like this crossover of various comedians. You have Pegg and Frost from the Cornetto trilogy, and you have Seth Rogen, Jason Bateman, Kristen Wiig, and Bill Hader. And basically, I think that was the catalyst to making this movie. And at around the same time, maybe around the same web of thoughts, um, I noticed that um, anime voice actors like um, let's say Erica Mendez here were mainly restricted to like anime that they were starring in or other um, animations, cartoons that how do I say this? Were mainly fit for whatever character she was playing, whatever, compared to like say A-listers in big budget animated films like on the veins of like DreamWorks or Illumination or Pixar or whatever. You have these A-lister celebrities like I don't know, Will Smith or Will Ferrell or whoever. Like big A-list stars um, playing roles just so that their movies could make money just because their name is attached on top. Like, for example, this one, Spies in Disguise. Let's see, there's a poster here. Ah, here we go. Like, when it comes to movies like this, it's usually A-listers that get the roles so that their names can be on top and they could make crap tons of money. So I was thinking about applying the same to these types of VAs. But at the same time, I was thinking about what would happen if Simon Pegg and Nick Frost teamed up to make another non-Cornetto film, and that's where Me and My Waifu was born. So um, this was around October of 2019. I was already fleshing out the idea of Me and My Waifu. At the time, Nick Frost wasn't actually involved. It was only just Simon Pegg and Erica Mendez. And the only reason why I chose Erica Mendez for the waifu was because of her roles, mainly Bernadette from FE 3H, Ryoko Matoi from Kill la Kill. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. And Megumin from Konosuba. And I thought that her performance of Bernie, her Bernie voice, was so had this innocent, antisocial vibe to it that I imagined what would happen if you know she played a character like this alongside fucking Nicholas Angel of all people. It's a very weird combination that I don't think anyone else has done. So around October of 2019, uh, I discovered this subreddit. Hang on, what's it called? Fictional. Shit. There is a subreddit called r/fictional movie posters. It's filled with people. It's filled with fake movie posters, as the title suggests, made by uh, different people. And I thought it would be fun to contribute um, my idea here. Now, at the time, I actually made a fake poster before. It was for this really, really weird movie I made up around the same year called Penny and Tina. It's some weird Spider-Verse Fantastic Beasts crossover. Don't and my computer's lagging. So I took a day in Photoshop to make this. I don't actually remember how long it took me 2 hours, 3 hours, or something. I actually forgot. And so when I was making the poster, you know, I just thought a few things. I thought it would be just a fun little time waster, just something to show other people for fun. I didn't actually think that people would take this movie seriously, that people would actually think this was real. And when I was making the poster, I I put Nick Frost in here because I just thought it would be a really cool idea to have him play like a wingman for Simon Pegg's character, and like, Simon Pegg is hanging out with a wife. What would Nick Frost think? Something like that. And then I thought of some random anime VAs around the same rank as Erica Mendez. I came up with Erica Harlicker. You might know her as Anne from Persona 5. Xanthe Huyn, also from Persona 5. I came up with Rosamund Pike from 2 movies she did with Simon Pegg that I'll get to later. And then Paul Rudd and Taika Waititi were basically part of the original idea. And then this I want to eat your pancreas thing, I actually disregard this now. I don't actually take this as part of the Me and My Waifu canon. But I just thought the title was so weird that I just had to put it in. I didn't actually see the movie at the time. I think it took me until beginning of quarantine to actually do that. And the producers of Shaun of the Dead. And then the tagline: a romantic comedy about a British weeaboo and a Japanese tsundere. Tsundere, I think from what I can recall, means antisocial or something, like shy. Because I was trying to find a Japanese term, or I don't know if weeaboo's actually Japanese, but like basically a term around the same level as weeaboo that would perfectly describe the waifu character who's antisocial and shy. And in cinemas February 14th, 2020. I actually came up with the February 14 date from 2 things. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out around the same time, and the new Tame Impala record, The Slow Rush, that came out around the same date, and, Valentine's Day. I just thought it was perfect for a movie like this to come out around that time. However, funny enough, I didn't actually think that if this movie were to exist around and came out around this time, that it would be one of the last things that would come out in theaters before the pandemic. Had this movie actually been released, I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog would not have been the last movie everybody would watch in theaters. This sounds a little egotistical or pretentious, but I'm not even kidding. You don't lie. I'm pretty sure if this movie was real, you'd watch this movie. This movie and Sonic would be the last 2 movies that people would have watched pre-pandemic. And then A1 Pictures, the Aniplex studio, working title is Studio Canal. Now, for the girl here, I was looking up antisocial anime girls. Like, and so I was literally looking up on Google antisocial anime girls. Like, and then I found this top 10 list. I can't actually remember the link, but I found this character, Yui from Kokoro Connect. And I thought, ooh, her hair looks nice. She's perfect. And so to my surprise, I was able to find a PNG file of her. Like a literal PNG file. So I placed it in here. And then this picture of Simon Pegg is actually from one of his movies, Man Up, with Lake Bell. I think that's why people found this movie to be legit for a bit because this picture of Simon Pegg was from a movie that I don't think a lot of people know. Even like, I feel like people who do know Man Up are like maybe hardcore Simon Pegg fans or something. But other than that, yeah, I don't think anyone knows Man Up. And I think that's one of the reasons why this idea works so well. But yeah, I posted it in fictional movie posters around 10 months ago, October 12th, 2019. But I thought this idea sounded really nice and clever that I thought to myself, maybe I should post this in Movie Circle Jerk as well. And so this is what I did. Hang on. I'm just going to go to Movie Circle Jerk. And in the meantime, I'll just get some water. I'm sorry if this introduction's taking so long. I know everybody wants to go straight to the trailer, but I really, really want to get this information out first. Apologies to everyone. Apparently, recording stopped. So, where is that? Real talk. Talk. Show results. Here we go. Here we go. Real talk, though, when y'all see this movie. I posted the same poster on Movie Circle Jerk around the next day, I think. One, three, and the next morning, I woke up, and apparently I saw the comments. I even posted the plot that I wrote in my mom's car. We were at a grocery, and I was waiting there in the car, and I wrote the plot to this movie around this time. Oh, hang on. Apologies for the inconvenience. My QuickTime was unable to save, but I actually forgot what I was talking about. Oh yes. So I just need some water. So I woke up the next morning to discover that people actually took this movie as a real concept. Fuck you for putting effort into making this amazing concept. Now I have to deal with it. Never happened. Okay, buying your script. I'm gonna throw tons of money at you. And some people even tried to Google this, and I was actually shocked. The first time I read these comments, I was super shocked. I even posted this on a few Discord servers, and I was very, very surprised to discover that people actually thought this movie was real. Some of which even thought about Googling it. I never even heard of Lars and the Real Girl, a movie with Ryan Gosling, until I made this poster. It was weird. And I ran with the concept because I thought it was really cool. So after making another poster, where is that? Another one. This was December, by the way. December 2019. I, no, which personally I find to be better than the first. I pretty much began to get some attention. My concept began getting some attention. Primarily, where is that? Excuse me. I'm really sorry for the inconvenient mouth noises I'm making, like the burps and stuff. But I'm making this unedited, so I even got some attention in one of the Reddit videos around over here. This guy, which has 163K subscribers, thought this was a real movie, and as a result of this, 4,479,000 views. My seemingly what was supposed to be a novelty got a lot of attention that very day, and I was super surprised to see this happening. I never, this is beyond my wildest dreams, because this was merely just a stupid little concept for a movie. And people loved my concept so much that I just knew I had to make a trailer, which um, pretty sure everybody's been waiting for. And this is the main event of this commentary. So before I get started, I actually tried to make a trailer last December. This was maybe a week before I went to Hong Kong, but at the time, I had what K-Mac called Memeverse block. K-Mac 2021, fellow guitar comedian on this site. I was trying my best to make the trailer look good, but I didn't have time. I didn't have the proper ideas. I was originally gonna make it set to MGMT or something, but honestly, I was trying to make the trailer as good as the posters, but I found it too difficult at the time. And then comes February of earlier this year. Apologies for that NSFW thumbnail. I have no idea what the hell's going on, but uh, basically, uh, my school was closed for a few days to clean up due to the coronavirus pandemic. And I spent my free time making this trailer. I think it took me about 3 days to get it done. I posted this February 25, 2020. So without further ado, the official teaser trailer for Me and My Waifu. By the way, these clips in order are all from Simon Pegg movies, even the ones that don't have shots of Simon Pegg. This one's from Absolutely Anything, Hector in the Search for Happiness, and Absolutely Anything Again. I mainly use those two movies and Man Up for my Simon Pegg material, because I believe those are movies of his that not many people were familiar with. I'm pretty sure when you think of Simon Pegg, it comes down to two things: his pop culture blockbusters he was in, like Star Trek and Mission Impossible, and his work with Edgar Wright and Nick Frost. The Cornetto trilogy. So I took it upon myself to minimize footage from the Cornetto trilogy, because I thought using clips of Shaun of the Dead would instantly think, oh hey, that's Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and it would break the illusion that this movie was new. So that's what I did. I used some of his more obscure stuff. This is a clip from Konosuba, an anime I was watching around the time. Ah, yes. Apparently, people had issues with with my editing that I will get into later on. From the visionary director of Weather with You in the Name. I was actually having a hard time thinking about the perfect director for this movie. I was thinking of Makoto Shinkai, who made Your Name and Living with You, and Ben Wheatley. You might know him from making movies like Free Fire and Sightseers. And the thing with the two was that Makoto Shinkai was well known for his anime stuff, and Ben Wheatley was more on his British black comedy stuff. But I didn't want to pair the two together because I believe that this movie should be one singular vision. And I felt that the since this movie was more involved towards anime, I went with Makoto Shinkai in the end. By the way, the song I used was Everlasting Nothing by Beck, great artist. Hector in the Search for Happiness, and the senpais that brought you. I have no idea what the plural for senpai is. Senpais is weird, but unfortunately, it's the closest I can think of. We can think of, and this part was actually inspired by a part in the Paul trailer for the movie Paul, that had this card that said that it had the stars of Shaun of the Dead. And I put that into my trailer to indicate that Makoto Shinkai and Peg and Frost were working together. And almost all this footage of the anime stuff, at least those that aren't on TV screens, are from Kokoro Connect. By the way, the voice clips I used were Bernadette from Fire Emblem. Satire. About a weeaboo. What for those who couldn't get what Simon Pegg was saying, uh, he said, "She is madly in love with me. What is wrong with that?" This is from a clip from Absolutely Anything, and I put it, and in the context of that movie, I think it's about Kate Beckinsale or something. Simon Pegg simping for Kate Beckinsale or some shit. And I changed the context of that line here to indicate that instead of Kate Beckinsale, it's the waifu here. Oh, and apparently people had criticisms with this part, and for that I'd like to apologize. I was lazy, and I didn't want to mask that shit. And to let people know that this is fake. You might think it's real, but I don't want people to go psychologically insane over the fact that this is a real thing and get sent to mental asylums as a result. This is a fake movie, and this editing error was a little intentional, just so that I could prove to everybody that this is in fact fake. I'm sorry. And the clips of Frost are from The World's End. I know I said to minimize footage of the Chrono Trilogy, but I feel like Nick Frost's cynical-ish character in The World's End, primarily his this scene I used, where he's meets up with Gary King for the first time in like 23 years. Some of his dialogue here I thought were really cool to put in this context. That Simon Pegg is a weeb, and he's a loser. He's in his 40s and stuff. Hector. And another issue I would like to bring up is that the music was a little too loud. I tried to minimize it so the dialogue uh, could be more present, but unfortunately I didn't think of that too well, and I'm sorry. There there tends to be a lot of mistakes left out when you make vids like this, because I tend to put a lot of effort and time into what I make, but some things are just a little too soon to realize. Erica Mendez. Apparently, um, when it comes to voice actors like Erica Mendez, their names aren't usually in the spotlight. It's just the characters they're playing. So I played it the other way around and placed their names in a way as if they were in the same place as A-listers like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Nick Frost. By the way, this footage of J.K. Simmons is from some movie called The Bachelors. This shot of Erica Harlacher is from her Anime Impulse interview. This is Ante Huyn's character. Okay, actually not her character, but in the context of Me and My Waifu, it is. Um, but this is also a character from Kokoro Connect. I don't know her name. I don't actually know the anime. I just know the girl I placed in there. This one. This one. Rosen Pike, Hector. This shot of Paul Rudd's from Dinner for Schmucks. And this shot of Taika Waititi's from Free Guy. The trailer for Free Guy, at least. And then it's random shots to keep up with the music. This shot, some of these shots are actually from movies that I haven't really used. This shot of Simon Pegg dancing is from How to, what the fuck's the title? How to Lose Friends and Alienate People or whatever. Megan Fox was in it. Kirsten Dunst was in it. Even Jeff Bridges. It was a movie that had so many A-listers and it went unnoticed. This is from Cuban Fury. Bachelors. Oh, and for this trailer, in order to put the waifu in the same scene as Simon Pegg, I learned how to mask. And the really reason why the masking is like this is because my Final Cut Pro version and my OS X version are very old, and so my version of Final Cut didn't have the masking feature where there's these dots you could use. It's like the lasso thing in Photoshop. So I had to deal with the bare minimum. I had to download whatever masking tool was available for my version of Final Cut, and then I just used that to mask the waifu in. I'm a peg. I added these scenes in to add some emotional weight to the story, as if it wasn't just a comedy; it's also dramatic. Man Up. This shot is from Man Up. This one. This anime's Azur Lane. Another shot from Cuban Fury. Also from Man Up, this bowling scene. This shot of... Where the hell is that? This shot took me work. I had to screenshot a scene of wherever this character was in. I went to Photoshop, cut her out. I think added some filters afterwards. Put her in the scene. Use the transform tool to how do I put it this way? Use the transform tool in Final Cut to obscure the dog in the original scene. And the original scene actually had this bench like around this corner of the screen. So I just zoomed in way on that so that the bench would take up like the bottom half. and I put my PNG of the waifu in. Yeah, this scene took me a lot of work for just a second. That's how dedicated I tend to be, and I apologize. By the way, some scenes of actually, the footage I got of Kokoro Connect were already had English subtitles attached, so I had to zoom them out just so they could fit in the trailer. And like I mean, they're part of the footage already. The English subs. I had to take them out myself. More Bernadette quotes. This shot's actually from Hector in the Search for Happiness. To make this scene work, I took several shots of this scene and put them in freeze frames, and then masked the character in. And I even played with her mouth movement a bit. I actually trimmed, maybe reversed or replayed, so that her mouth movement, her lip movement would match what she was saying in the way that dubs, English dubs do it. I really, really tried to remove the music for these quotes, but unfortunately, it was impossible. I had no choice but to leave them in. March 2020. The only uh, for those who are wondering why the dates are different, this is my best explanation. The February 14th date is for the UK release, and this is the American release, March 6th, to be precise. And for those, let me just put this in 1080p real quick. I think if I remember what this says, it has the copyright section there, and I think I put here property of Disney, promotional use only. Ah, here we go. If Hollywood's reading this, please make this movie real. Thank you. And that's the end of the trailer. So for extra stuff, this particular part of the trailer, the cast call, this one, it took me a real pain to make because I had to fix the text, I had to crop the footage so they would fit on the left and right, and then wash, rinse, repeat until all the actors were, uh, all the main actors were already in there, and I just interspliced random footage from what I had. For this part, I wanted to add a Xanthic Wind soundbite, named like a Haru soundbite, but unfortunately, I couldn't find one that fit well with this particular shot, so I just went with the original audio. And that's the trailer. So for extra bits, um, yeah, let me drink again. I came to the realization that I don't think there's a single movie out there that satirizes weeb culture. Like, there are anime movies, yes, they get released internationally, but rarely are there movies that really tackle the impact of anime, to be fair. And um, even worse, I don't think there are there are rarely movies anymore that tend to combine like live action and 2D animation and then put them in the same world. You have movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Space Jam that did this. Cool World, like Ralph Bakshi, I think, with Brad Pitt. But other than that, these days, when it comes to combining like cartoons and real people in the same universe, it's usually CGI. And yeah, it kind of sucks that 2D animation is a little sidelined nowadays in mainstream animated features in favor of CGI animation. Like CGI is cool and all, but you got to keep 2D alive as well. Just as much as while streaming services are the big thing in Hollywood right now. Um, uh, Theaters have to stay alive as well, especially in the COVID pandemic. So that's one of my big insights. And for the inspiration for this trailer, I was actually using the teaser trailer for Jojo Rabbit as a template. Um, you know, that's actually where I got the text and the comes a satire part. Uh, that goes to war on hate. Yeah, I was actually using this teaser as a template. I somehow made it a little longer. And the scene of Jojo talking to Hitler, or at least his imaginary friend Hitler, was my main inspiration for the ending, where Simon Pegg and the waifu can talk to each other. Speaking of which, Jojo Rabbit was a major influence in making Me and My Waifu. The idea of satirizing some shitty culture, like Nazi culture, something. Having an imaginary friend that isn't Bing Bong, but moreover somebody that if you were friends with, people wouldn't really stay near to you. But in an anime context, I've described this several times before. I've described Me and My Waifu before as being Jojo Rabbit for weebs. But I also... Hang on, I'm going to go to my letterboxd in a bit to show you all some of my big influences on Me and My Waifu. Where is this? Here we go, Me and My Waifu influences. So these are all my influences on Me and My Waifu. Um, Me, for those of you who don't remember or know, is a really strange music video that's um, similar to Me and My Waifu satirizes weeaboo culture. It's a very weird music video that really nails down what it's like to be an otaku. I remember watching like a Fine Brothers react video on this back in 2016. But yeah, it was a major influence on Me and My Waifu. The idea of uh, anime culture, otaku culture being satirized to hell. Ruby Sparks is a movie starring Paul Dano and Zoe Kazan about a struggling writer who writes Girlfriend to Life. It's like Weird Science, but a little more indie. Um, it was also a major influence on Me and My Waifu. In fact, after the success of my posters, I saw this movie afterwards. I've known this movie for like 8 years, and it wasn't until last year when I finally saw it for myself, which is really good. Moving Roger Rabbit, obvious 2D meets live action influence. Her was also a big influence. The idea of like somebody falling in love with in a very abnormal way, like somebody who isn't necessarily human, like a real living body of flesh. Other influences include High Fidelity, Sonic's Here for the release date, Your Name and Weather Review for the Makoto Shinkai, Submarine, British comedy, quirky comedy influence, and The Kid. I don't remember why I put this here, but I think it involved like a grown man coming to terms with his big problems or something. Whatever. So I'm just gonna read the plot out loud and provide some insights on extra insights about this movie. So this is the plot I wrote. An isekai slice of life fantasy romantic comedy, isekai slice of life, and a satirical take on the weeb lifestyle. I placed this here to let people know that this isn't a normal romantic comedy about some guy who falls in love with a waifu. No, it's not just a normal rom-com. It's also a satire. I had to put it here just so people could know. Me and My Waifu follows Tom, Simon Pegg, a 40-something loser who's been a hardcore weeaboo since childhood. I actually imagined a few scenes or plot threads of this movie, and I think I fleshed out Tom the most. When it comes to Tom, this is my philosophy about my backstory on Tom. He's been watching anime since he was a young child, so like maybe at the age of 9. Let's say, Dragon Ball Z and Astro Boy were on television, and Tom fell in love with them. And after his dad left them, or his childhood being shit, he resorted to being a weeb for the rest of his days. It's like Gary King, but instead of being obsessed with pub crawls or his early childhood days, he's obsessed with anime, so it makes him even more of a loser than Gary King. So, like a more relatable Gary King, to say the least. And I wanted to provide insight on the what if question, on the idea of a weeaboo like you and me. So let's say you've been addicted to anime and waifus starting 17, 18, 19, 20, down to your 30s. But I was imagining what a weeaboo would be like in his 40s. I feel like weebs in their 40s are like maybe even worse than your typical weeaboo. So that's Tom's character. I also took Yanderdev as a major influence, and like just him being a total loser. He's a NEET. He doesn't want to go to work. He doesn't want to do adult responsibilities. All he wants to do is um, watch anime all day, maybe even some hentai in between. He has a major katana collection, a huge figurine collection, a lot of posters. And I imagine the opening scene set to Time to Pretend by MGMT, where he wakes up from his bed, he's late to work, he gets dressed, he eats his breakfast, and before he leaves for work, he fixes his anime collection. He fixes his katanas, he has a long cabinet of figurines by the hallway, and he's talking to himself in the mirror with a katana, thinking he can speak Japanese. That's my idea for the intro. And he goes to work, and he's getting his ass kicked by Taika Waititi. Anyway, one night he decides to binge watch a slice of life anime before putting an end to his otaku lifestyle under the advice of his friend Peter Nick Frost. So basically, what I'm imagining this. There's a line from The World's End I think Frost utters to Simon Pegg that says, "Grow up, join society." So it's a more modern version of that. Like, cause Peter, his childhood friend, was also a weeb like Tom, but around his college years, maybe his adult years when he started working, he had to stop and move on with his life. So yeah, you can tell these characters are modeled after Gary and Andy from The World's End, uh, but in a more modern context, in a different context. And so like after Tom embarrasses himself, Peter sticks up with his shit and tells him to grow up. And Tom, realizing what he's done, comes back home. And here we go. But when a blackout occurs and Tom accidentally injures himself and his television while attempting to navigate himself through the dark. So basically, he's searching his anime collection. He finds this anime called "I Can't Join Society." And he utters to himself one last anime. He puts it on his television, starts a binge watch, and boom, lightning occurs, and it's a blackout. He's trying to fix his television, or at the very least, find his flashlight, but then he slips and accidentally hits his television set, and he passes out. I think the movie Yesterday came into mind when I wrote this particular point of the plot. Just the idea of a blackout or a lightning strike or both causing a major turn of events in the story, like the driving force of the plot. So he wakes up the next day to find that the anime's protagonist, a young antisocial or dandere schoolgirl named Yumiko, Erica Mendes has come to life as his roommate. So there he wakes up. Yumiko, the main character, is right there, and they both scream at each other or something. It's a fun little interaction, and they get to know each other for a little bit, and something like that. And Tom is just shocked at the fact that Yumiko is a real person. He calls up Peter, but who doesn't believe him and thinks he's gone insane. And so Tom has to deal with the fact that Yumiko is actually a real person, that he's not high. And for Yumiko, it's an actual Japanese term. I really wanted to make sure the Japanese names weren't fake, so I had to look up Japanese terms. And I forgot what Yumiko is translates to. Yumiko. Oh. I forgot what this translates to, but I think it's something to do with flowers. I forgot. So now Tom and Peter must assist Yumiko through the ups and downs of the real world as Tom begins to find friendship in her. And the line between his otaku life and personal life begins to blur along the way. So, so the rest of the movie is dedicated to Tom being forced to grow up. He's forced to go outside, and Yumiko is going along with him. My interpretation for that phenomenon is that Tom wants to let go of what's clearly an unhealthy addiction, but then karma happens, and it seems like his otaku life just can't simply go away, and Yumiko is like a representation of that. Like, you're trying to let go of something you've been holding on for so long, but then there comes a time when that same habit wants to stay, as if it's talking to you back. And so, you know, Tom brings her to work. Tom takes her on dates. There's even a scene where they go to McDonald's and he feeds her McDonald's French fries, except it's not a body pillow. and the line between his otaku life. Basically, this is where his life begins to go cuckoo. Like, not in a horror way, but like, he can't let go of his otaku life. And, it's starting to really, really take over him. To the point where later on in the movie, he falls in love with Yumiko. It's a little weird and creepy, but I think it really hits home what would happen if you, the weeb, or the viewer, would do if your wife was actually real. And and then the ending I wrote to this movie was that um, no, Tom and Yumiko don't get married for each other because she's a waifu. Obviously, she needs to be let go. So I imagine like they have an argument, and then one day Tom wakes up in his house. Yumiko's not there. He's calling her name, and uh, he runs around and suddenly finds Yumiko on the beach, and they have one last conversation with each other. Simon Pegg's tearing up. He tells Yumiko that he doesn't want Yumiko to leave him, but unfortunately, he really has to let go of his weeb addiction, and Yumiko is laid off, and then Tom's life begins to get better afterwards. He speaks of his experience to other voice actors, and then he gets a new TV screen, and while searching through electronic store or something, or TV screen, it's like the ending to Wreck-It Ralph, where the girl character sees the main character. She smiles at him, and then he smiles back, something like that. That's the end. And then Weezer's Island of the Someplace. That's my idea for the ending. I think that the ending is the scene I fleshed out the most. Now I don't know for the rest, but anyway, Me and My Waifu also stars J.K. Simmons as Tom's therapist Francis. I named my therapist character after my former advisor, whose name was also Sir Francis. He was my statistics teacher, and basically, I wanted a therapist character who could help out with Tom's addiction and psychological problems and stuff. And I thought that J.K. Simmons was a really good choice for that character. You know, Erica Harlacher is a fictionalized version of herself that Tom and Peter attempt to seek help from. So I imagine the scene where Tom and Peter come across Erica Harlacher's house, and they show her the waifu. She's real, and she's live in front of her eyes, and they try to seek assistance from her, like how to deal with a waifu like this from someone who has voiced waifus in the past. That's why I added her in. Zan Huin as Yumiko's best friend Shimi, the character from the trailer earlier. Rosamund Pike as Tom's ex-girlfriend Sarah. Basically, her character was that Tom tried to have a sex life. Tom tried to have a girlfriend, but because Tom's otaku addiction was so strong, he stopped after a week, and they broke up. Paul Rudd is Tom's douchebag office-mate Walter. Basically, Walter is the cocky asshole in his office who likes to bully him for his anime addiction, something like that. And Taika Waititi is Tom's boss, Michael. I didn't actually know that I named Taika Waititi's character after Michael Scott from The Office. I wasn't actually thinking of that. I was just thinking of random names, and Michael came up. I know nobody's brought this up, but I just thought I wanted to get this out of the way. So, need water again. So Michael, like Walter, uh, tends to pick on Tom for his anime addiction, basically, and um, takes it in stride, and that really justifies Tom being a total loser in life. So that's some extra insights I have about this movie. I feel like would have been amazing if this was an actual thing. However, I just want to bring up the sad reality that um, if this movie were to actually happen, I don't think this could actually be the case. Maybe it would be nice as a college film, like a short film for school. Like it is possible for waifus and real people to be on the same screen. Does anyone? I'm gonna search this up real quick. Where is this guy? Yeah. Videos like this. I've seen stuff like this on Pyrocynical's channel, and it proves that yes, waifus and real people can in fact be on the same screen. It is possible, completely possible. That's so. I so yes, it would be possible, maybe as a short film, but as a theatrical thing, um, I feel like Simon Pegg would be a senior by that time, and you know, maybe the year would be 2040 something. Everybody's gone old, so everybody has to be recast, and there might be a chance anime culture might change. The waifu husbandhood phase would evolve, and so it would be outdated. And I would love to write the script myself, but unfortunately, I don't know how to write scripts. So I really, I would, as much as I'd love for this movie to be real alongside everybody else, I feel like it's gonna take somebody who's talented in screenwriting to actually get this thing made. And if anybody who watches this does actually write a full script for this, I commend you and I love you and I want to marry you. I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, that's my commentary on Me and My Waifu. Extra insights that I have never revealed to anybody else. The trailer, I am. I'd like to thank everybody for these 10 months of you know laughter and enjoyment. I really admire the reputation my movies gotten, even if it wasn't big, like as big as they always has been, or uh, the Lego City memes. But I'm still happy they got some. They got some love out of all this, even if it's just silly little concept, or at least that's what I believed at first. Um, and maybe when the pandemic's over, maybe I will try to write the script and make this real. And yeah. Oh, and one more thing. I wrote sequels for this, but I don't think I'll actually work on those because I want to move on to other things, and I feel like all of you guys want to do the same. So there you go. I actually tried making another trailer. I spent a few weeks on that, but I got really stressed, and I think I posted a few images of that on Twitter, my old Twitter account. But um, uh, I eventually scrapped it to save up on data to defrag stuff. It kind of sucks, you know. I was willing to show it to you all, but I deleted all my footage at the last second just to save the data. And you know, maybe one day I will try to do it again, but I don't think I'm ready for that now. So that's the end of my commentary. Thank you for listening along, and I hope to see you sometime in the future.